I'm gonna show to you, my fellow chessers, the chess game between Gukesh and Yagiz Erdogmus in FIDE Grand Swiss 2025, round number 2. Hello, my fellow chessers. We're back at it again with another video, my fellow chessers. So let's begin on d4, g5, c3. Wow, this is queen's pawn opening, my fellow chessers. The normal opening in this position is c4, my fellow chessers. But let's see, c3 opening, my fellow chessers, off. Gukesh, my fellow chessers. So let's continue the real game. Knight f6, bishop g5 attacking the knight on f6, my fellow chessers. c6, queen c2. Oh, preventing the bishop f5, my fellow chessers, as you can see. Knight e5 attacking the bishop on g5, my fellow chessers. Bishop f4, alright. Bishop f5, queen b3 attacking the pawn on b7, my fellow chessers. Queen b6, mistake of Yagiz, my fellow chessers. The best continuation on this position is knight d7, g5 or e5, my fellow chessers. Alright, the top engine move is knight d7, and the second one is g5. Wow, sacrifice. Alright, so let's continue the real game, my fellow chessers, which is queen b6, f3 attacking the knight on e4, my fellow chessers. Alright, knight d6, knight d2, preferring for e4 or c4, something like that, my fellow chessers. Knight d7, g4. Wow, attacking the bishop on f5, my fellow chessers. Bishop g6, h4, tapping the bishop on g6, my fellow chessers, as you can see. One more steps. All right. Ooh, h6, bishop g2, e6, h5, attacking the bishop on g6, my fellow chessers. Bishop h7, e5, a5, queen takes b6, my fellow chessers. Knight takes b6, a4, knight c4, attacking the pawn on b7, at the same time attacking the knight on d2, my fellow chessers. All right, knight takes c4, knight takes c4, b3, attacking the knight on c4, my fellow chessers. All right, knight d6. All right, e5, attacking the knight on d6, my fellow chessers. Wow, knight c8. Oh, okay. Bishop f1, king d7. Why Yagiz didn't move this, my fellow chessers? The bishop on c2 to attack this. All right, like for example b4, a takes b5, and then c takes b4, and then bishop takes. Why Yagiz? Because, like for example, b go here. Okay, the best continuation on this position is rook h2, my fellow chessers, sacrificing the pawn on b3. Like for example, takes bishop, rook h2, takes go, and we have rook b2 attacking the bishop on b3. Alright, like for example, we have here, we have rook takes, rook takes b7, or bishop takes c4, takes, and rook takes b7, my fellow chessers. Alright, so let's continue the real game, which is king to d7, bishop to e3. All right, king c7. Wow. All right, king d2. No more bishop c2, my fellow chessers, because we have king d2, my fellow chessers. All right, so let's continue the real game. Knight b6. That's the idea of king d7 and king c7, my fellow chessers, to defend this pawn on b7, my fellow chessers, and that's why Gukesh moved here to preventing the bishop c2, my fellow contestants. All right. Correct my pronunciation if I'm wrong, my fellow contestants, or my sentence, my fellow contestants. All right. Anyway, my fellow contestants, let's continue the real game, which is f4 after knight b6, right? Knight b6 is knight b6, f4, knight d6, knight d7, bishop d3, attacking the bishop on h7, bishop takes d3, king takes d3, b5, mistake of Yagiz, my fellow chessers. The best continuation on this position based on computer engine, my fellow chessers, is bishop e7, bishop e7 or f6 or rook to e8. The top engine move is bishop e7, my fellow chessers, alright? But let's continue the real game, which is b5, my fellow chessers, alright? b5, mistake of Yagiz. Oh, f5, creating a bomb here. This side, my fellow jazzers. Alright, my fellow jazzers. B takes a4, rook takes a4. Wow. And c5, what's the idea? To go here, c4, something like that. My fellow jazzers. And takes, and we have knight b6, something like that. My fellow jazzers. Alright, to check and check and check, my fellow jazzers. Alright, but let's continue. The real game is knight e2. Oh, c4. B takes c4. Then knight b6. Wait, my fellow contestants. Rook a2. Knight b6. Because the idea of knight b6 attacking the rook on a4, the same time attacking the pawn on c4, my fellow contestants. Alright. Rook a2, knight takes c4, f takes e6, f takes e6, alright. Knight f4, attacking the pawn on g6, f6, e6, my fellow considers at the same time, preferring for knight g6, something like that. Rook e8, defending the pawn on e6, my fellow considers, alright. Bishop c4, bishop c1. What's the idea? Go here, something like that. What's the idea? Okay, let's continue the game. Anyway, so king c6. What's the idea of king c6? Let's continue the game. Rook f1, rook g6. Wow. Okay. King c2, mistake of Gukesh, my fellow chessers. The best continuation on this position is knight g6, the top engine move, and rook a f2, go here, or rook a1. Okay, this is the best continuation in this position, my fellow chessers, to attack this. Like for example, bishop e7. We have rook f7, my fellow chessers. Can you imagine that? Rook f7, and like for example bishop d8 and rook a1, huh? King e2, rook a1, huh? Rook a4, something like that. As you can see the evaluation bar here, white is winning my fellow chessers. All right, but let's continue the real game, which is what's the real move? King c2, mistake. All right. Bishop e7. Knight takes e6. G6, mistake of Yagiz, my fellow chessers. The best continuation on this position is king to d7 or bishop h4. Wow, bishop h4, bishop d8. That's the best continuation based on computer engine, my fellow chessers. But let's continue the real game, which is g6. G5, very good move. King d7, mistake. The best continuation on this position is h takes g5 or g takes h5 or bishop takes g5, bishop takes g5. That's the best continuation on this position, my fellow chessers. Alright, but let's continue the real game, which is king to d7, knight f4, very good move. Rook g f8, rook g f8, my fellow chessers. Rook g1, bishop takes g5, knight takes g5, king c6, my fellow chessers, attacking the knight on d5, my fellow chessers. Alright, bishop takes g5, blunder of Gukesh, my fellow chessers. Alright, the world champion blunder, the bishop g5, my fellow chessers. Alright, the best continuation on this position is knight f6, my fellow chessers. Alright, knight f6 or rook takes g5. Oh, sacrifice, but the top engine move is knight f6 to maintain the winning position, my fellow chessers. Like for example, bishop takes f6, and we have bishop takes h6. As you can see, my fellow chessers, all right, attacking the rook on f8, f8, all right. And like for example, what's the best continuation in this position? Bishop h8. So let's see, bishop h8. All right, we have bishop takes f8, then rook takes f8. Now rook takes h takes g6. Wow, as you can see here, my fellow chessers, two rooks versus knight and bishop, my fellow chessers. As you can see, white is winning on this position, my fellow chessers. The advantage of the world champion as of now, my fellow chessers. All right, so you can see the pawn chain here on c3, d4, and e5, my fellow chessers. All right, even though we have three officials here, my fellow chessers, white is still winning on this position, my fellow chessers. All right, I hope you can understand what I'm trying to say, my fellow chessers. All right. Anyway, wow, sacrifice. All right, wow, sacrificing the knight. Wow, that's incredible, my fellow chessers. Wow, just wow, my fellow chessers. All right, but let's continue the real game, which is bishop takes g5, right? Bishop takes g5, blunder of world champion as of now, my fellow chessers. All right, as of now, as I'm recording in this video, my fellow chessers, blunder, my fellow chessers. What a blunder. But that's fine. That's a part of the game, my fellow chessers. Wow, Yagiz take the knight on g5, my fellow chessers. Wow, why? Like for example, takes here, bishop h takes g5. We have knight f6, my fellow chessers. As you can see, the evaluation bar here again, white is winning on this position. That's why Yagiz take the knight on d5, right? As you can see, Yagiz take the knight on d5 instead of g5, my fellow chessers. Bishop g5. Let's continue the real game, my fellow chessers. As you can see, the evaluation bar here, the position is equal, my fellow chessers. All right, the position is equal, my fellow chessers. I hope you can understand what I'm trying to say, my fellow chessers. All right, so this video is chess analyze. All right, so chess analyze, my fellow chessers. All right, I hope you can understand what I'm trying to say, my fellow chessers. All right, subscribe. Bishop f6. Let's continue the real game, bishop f6. All right, h takes g5, g takes h5, g takes h5, rook g7 is the idea. Go here. Can you guess, my fellow chessers, the brilliant move for black, my fellow chessers? I'm gonna try to flip the board, fellow chessers. All right, here I'm gonna try to count on 5, my fellow chessers. You can pause the video, my fellow chessers. All right, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, my fellow catchers. What is the best continuation of this position? Brilliant move, my fellow catchers. You can comment down below, my fellow catchers, if you want, my fellow catchers. All right, I'm gonna try to flip the board again, my fellow catchers. All right, I'm gonna try to continue the game. Rook takes f6, my fellow catchers. All right, rook takes f6, my fellow catchers. Congratulations to those who got brilliant move, my fellow catchers. All right, that's the brilliant move. Rook takes f6, sacrificing the rook on f6, my fellow chessers. All right, after rook takes f6 and e takes f6, my fellow chessers, rook e2. Wow, my fellow chessers. All right, sacrificing the rook to maintaining the drawish position, my fellow chessers, or draw position, my fellow chessers. All right, after rook e2, king b1, rook e1, king c2, rook e2, king b1, rook e1 draw, my fellow chessers. Why Gukesh didn't go here on b3? Like for example, we have here king b3. I'm gonna try to explain to you, my fellow chessers. King b3. We have a4, my fellow chessers. No choice. The only move on this position, my fellow chessers, is king takes a4, and we have rook takes a2. As you can see, the evaluation bar here, black is winning. That's why we just go here. Like for example, we have here. What if we go here? We have rook takes a2, my fellow chessers. Like for example, king to d1. The same rook a2, my fellow chessers. That's why Gukesh decide to go here. King to b1, rook e1, king c2, go here, and drawish. This is draw, my fellow chessers. You can see the time of the two players here, my fellow chessers. Alright, I hope you can understand what I'm trying to say, my fellow chessers. Like, comment, and subscribe, my fellow chessers. Alright, like, comment, and subscribe here. Alright. Thank you so much, my fellow Chessers. Like, comment, and subscribe, my fellow Chessers here and my main channel, Chessers TV and Chessers TV official team, my fellow Chessers. To God be all the glory. Praise Lord Jesus Christ.